cool. Okay, we're live now. Hi, Mr. Sci-Fi fans, and the table is on as well. So, if anyone has questions, go for it. So that's oh God.
I did send the email. It was just a little late, was all.
Yes. Oh, brother. Okay. Hello, Dave. You're very good at eating cereal. That's great.
Is that cereal?
Yes. Yes.
Pasta.
It's
Pasta?
Yeah. So
I thought. How did I had a feeling it was like it's because I'm Italian and I can sense pasta even like miles away. I just know. I just know there's pasta. All right, we've already got a few people coming on Mr. Sci-Fi saying hello.
Yes. Okay, Elaine, I need you over here, please. Great. So, hi everybody. Hello, Elaine. There's something I have to deal with. Excuse me. Yeah. Thanks. Okay, great. So we're getting there. We're almost ready. So
Yep.
hang on a second, Elaine. I have to go deal with something real quick immediately. So if you can just jump in here, that'd be great. I'll be right back.
Okay, I'll hold down the fort here as well.
Hello, what jolly interesting weather.
Yeah.
Hey. Yes, I was just like finishing a rewrite like a crazed person, so here I am. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, Kushik's here.
Hi.
I always get it slightly wrong and I feel so bad about it.
Well, we should be getting, I hope, Judith Smiley today. She was going to try, she's in the rehab center. And
Okay.
besides having
Hey, everyone.
besides having a bad cold, she's pretty good. She's doing pretty well. So that's great. Okay, so who shall we start with?
How is Mark doing?
What?
How is Mark doing, Elaine?
Oh, Mark just had to take, something came in terms of a call that he just ran away and said he had to take.
Oh, okay.
So he's just
he'll be back in a second.
Yes, he'll be back in a second. He's just in the next room and he'll be right back. So would our moderator like to share today?
I guess I could jump in and get us started here.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Hi, guys, and hello to everyone new coming on. I think you all know me. I'm Adam Sartain, but for the Mr. Sci-Fi folks, if there's anyone new tuning in, my name is Adam Sartain. I am an actor, a voice actor, musician, and I am an associate producer on Space Command.
Okay.
Hey. Oh man, I have been so busy lately. I missed the last two table meetings because I was in a live table read of an episode of Hell, California, entitled Orpheus. Very much not in my usual wheelhouse, but I feel I did really well.
What was the thing? What was the?
I played a bodega owner, like a racist bodega owner.
Whoa.
And which is definitely not me. Although it wasn't the first time I played such a character. But I also played a older Latino bass player who's like the leader of a jazz band. Yeah. But the director really liked what I did with the characters, so
that's great.
I'm happy with it. Yeah.
So how big a role was it?
It wasn't that big. I mean, it was. I wouldn't say it's like a under 5. It's a principal role.
That's great. But congratulations.
Not a lead, but yeah.
Well, you wouldn't want your lead to be a racist bodega owner, I don't.
No.
No.
Definitely not. That character was just like a couple lines.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Well, welcome. Well,
Yeah.
is there anything you need, though, Adam? Anything you need from the group?
Right now, just sanity, because I've been lately. I've been scrambling. We've all been scrambling to get the Kickstarter ready, because tomorrow is the official launch day for the Space Command Kickstarter. So we're getting all that together, and we have a special preview launch. Just, it's funny because a lot of this Kickstarter is very much like tied to timing with Disneyland, because like Disneyland had a special cast member preview where people could come in. We're having a donors special preview that they can come in.
Oh, great.
And Disneyland officially opens tomorrow, and so is our Kickstarter. And our Kickstarter ends the day that the new Marvel thing opens in California Adventure. So,
well, good. Then people won't have to be distracted.
exactly, it's all cosmically aligned.
Yeah. Cool. Great. Well, thank you.
Yeah. So that's it for me.
Okay. Mr. Sci-Fi people, your Mark is in the next room taking care of an emergency call. I don't know what it is, but he rushed off and he'll be back shortly. So you'll be able to speak with him very, very shortly. So I noticed that Judith has joined us. So we're going to pop her out of turn because she's calling from her rehab center. Hi, Judith. Welcome. Oh,
yeah, you're muted.
You're muted. Can we get you? Oh,
there you go.
There we go. Because I'm a big mouth anyway. I'm not going to be on long because my roommate is leaving, and I want to say goodbye to her.
Okay.
And like that, and I'm still weak. So hello, everybody. I love everybody. I'm hoping that I'm seeing my surgeon on Monday, which is the tide. And hopefully I'll get some instruction about when I can come home.
Oh, great. How are you?
Which is what I really want to do,
Yay.
Get back into action.
Okay. Is there anything you need?
That's all I got to say.
That's all you got to say. Well, thank you so much for joining us from your hospital. Thanks for joining us from your hospital bed. We appreciate that.
Well, thank you. I miss you guys. I
miss you.
Do. I can't wait until all this schmigegginess is over.
Yes.
Pandemic. I'm sorry. Sephaman. My arm hurts. And I will see you soon, and I will talk with you separately.
Okay.
And I love you all.
Yay. Okay. Thanks, Judith.
Thanks, Judith.
We love you too, Judith.
Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I did forget one thing
Oh,
during my
yes.
turn. Kind of a major thing. And that is I'm starting a new podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's called Inside Animation, and I've recorded 2 episodes already. We dropped the first one on Monday, and I've already talked to Mark, and he's agreed to be a guest.
Wow, okay.
There's been a lot of interest, apparently. I've put up in LinkedIn, and the CEO of Voices.com contacted me about being a guest on the show.
Oh,
So
wow. Great. Okay, well, that's
Wow,
exciting.
that's great. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
That's a very big website.
yeah, I happened to meet him like years and years and years ago. So he's a LinkedIn contact, but like I didn't think you would remember me, let alone
Yeah, right.
want to be on my podcast.
Well, that's great. Well, congratulations. Yay.
Thank you.
Okay, I believe it's you, Mr. Dave.
Oh, hi, was that me?
Yep.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Mr. Sci-Fi people. Yes, it's been a strange week. I'm all Pfizered up.
Yay.
Yeah, well, I got the second shot on Monday. Everything was grand. Injection site didn't even bother me much. And then that night, the chills started.
Oh, dear.
The shivering, and the fever dreams, and that was all gone by the morning, except for the fever and aches. So Tuesday and Wednesday Wednesday was better, but and now I'm just about back to normal for all the good that's ever done me.
Great.
And but yeah, that really just knocked me out, but still a minor thing, and it feels good to be part of the solution. I know, Adam, when you had the COVID, it was probably much worse than the little bit that I went through.
Yes.
But anyway, so if you get the second injection, well, you might have this or something a little worse, but it gone by now. So anyway, but meanwhile, through it all, we're working on aspects of Space Command, including some more of glowing eyes for our lead synthetic, Doug Jones, and some aspects of the Kickstarter campaign, getting some videos ready for that, and looking forward to driving to my favorite thing in the world. Seriously, driving down to Pico Rivera. Did I say seriously? I couldn't have meant that. We're gonna have a little walkthrough of the studio tomorrow.
Yeah.
Check out various aspects of the upcoming production. It'll be good to see everybody.
Great. And just hold on one second. Just a word to everyone. Please mute your mics if it isn't your turn. Thank you, because we get a lot of noise. So thanks. Go ahead, Dave, please.
Anyway, just looking forward to seeing everybody. Like I said, not that Zoom isn't a great thing in this situation, but
yes,
it'll be nice to see our team in person.
Yes, it will.
Yeah.
So that's about it. I'm waiting for a couple of photos from you, Mark, to finish this this current video.
Okay.
And then I'll send it along to you.
Okay, great. Terrific. Thanks, Dave. Yay. 3 cheers.
I know, that's what I know. So
good.
Everybody be well, and I'll see you soon.
Great. Terrific. So, Adam, do we have a Mr. Sci-Fi question yet?
Yes, we do. Let's see. Where was it? Yeah, we have our question. First question of the night is from Gregory Krug. I always mispronounce that. Gregory Krug, and he says, Mark, what are your thoughts on Ken Burns and his style?
I think it's great. I mean, I loved his Civil War documentary. When I was a producer on Lazarus Man, which was a Western, I actually contacted Ken Burns at one point to check something about one of the battles of the Civil War. We just watched his Hemingway documentary, which was interesting. No, I think he's really contributed a lot to making history a lot more accessible for a lot of people. So I think he's great. So the one quibble I have with him is that he had that great Civil War music, the theme, and then he used it in the one about baseball. And it was like, no, that should have just been about Civil War and soldiers getting killed and writing their wives love letters and stuff. I didn't want to see it about some guy playing baseball, Honus Wagner or whatever. So that was my only negative. But otherwise, I think he's great. So let's see. Has Adam had his turn yet?
Yes. If people are interested in the Civil War, let me plug a documentary that I edited several years ago.
Great.
Which I believe on Amazon Prime and some other platforms.
Yes.
Called I've mentioned this at the table before. Called "Remember the Sultana," which is about the worst maritime disaster in U.S. history, worse than the Titanic. And it was about an ill-fated steamship heading home at the end of the Civil War with soldiers and former prisoners of war from the horrible southern prisoner of war camps, heading onto this ship that should hold fewer than 500. It set sail or set steam with over 2,000 because palms were greased. And not only that, a faulty boiler.
Yes, and one thing I should. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
It was a fascinating story that not too many people know. We did this documentary about it, and if you want to check it out, it's called "Remember the Sultana."
Yeah, and I've got to say that Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet were great in it.
No,
I forgot to mention that. And
Yeah.
there's a good reason.
Though I think there was plenty of room on that iceberg or whatever the hell she was floating on for him too. I mean, I think that was low.
well,
You
for
know.
those of you who haven't,
Not my favorite. Not
Yeah.
my favorite film. That Titanic.
no,
No, but
for those of
very
you who
fun.
haven't seen Remember the Sultana,
It's great.
really affecting.
It's great.
Really
It's-
clear, really affecting. It takes you
Yeah.
right back.
It's a
there.
feel-good movie, absolutely. And but no, I mean, but the Civil War is a fascinating period. I mean, there's so many amazing stories from Andersonville to Gettysburg itself to the Sultana. I mean, it just really is an astonishing time. And so yeah, I really enjoyed that documentary when I saw it, Dave. So thanks. So so I guess Kushek, do you want to take your turn?
Yeah, sure.
Great. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all. And I think most of you know me. My name is Kaushik.
Yes.
I'm a comedy writer and a comedy actor. And I have a specific question.
Sure.
I hope Mark will be able to shed some good light on it with all his TV experience. I know somebody who is a doctor and also a businessman. He has some good passion about the Hollywood industry. So he has decided to invest some money in making a single cam sitcom pilot
Okay.
on a medical office. He works on a medical office, and he knows a lot of crazy stories that has happened to him and his colleagues. So he wants to kind of like give some inspiration of the story, and then get a nice script ready, and then produce the whole thing, shoot the whole thing, and then try to sell it. Now, his only connection to the film industry is me.
Yes.
Okay? I'm helping him do the whole thing, get the whole thing done. But as you know, I don't have TV production experience.
Yes.
So if you can tell me what would be the way to go ahead and get the whole thing done and try to sell it.
Well, I mean, the trick is being advised by people who've successfully done that. It's still a rarity for a spec pilot to be picked up as a show. It's happening nowadays, but it's still rare. But it used to never, ever happen. There
are a lot of platforms now, so I believe probably
yes,
it gives us a lot of opportunities.
Yes. Amongst the things you could do, there are certain conferences that will be starting up again once the pandemic is over, where the executives from all of the different platforms attend and they talk to people and take pitches, listen to pitches, and those can be very useful. The main thing is to see if you can get an agent or manager enthused. It helps enormously if you have an insider who's given the task of doing something they've done before. If you're trying to come from outside with having never done it, it's very, very difficult. So you need allies.
But we need to find a collaborator with the producer who has produced TV before. Is that what you're saying, Mark?
No. You need, that helps, yes, but mainly you need people to help sell it.
Selling comes very late. Right now, what we're trying to focus is to get the team and then shoot the whole thing.
Sure.
Half an hour pilot, and
yes.
then we will worry about distribution later.
Well, then what you should do is, it depends on how much money you have to make this. Because if you can actually hire someone who knows what they're doing, that's a good idea. And particularly with comedy, you have to hire someone who knows comedy, and particularly one-camera comedy, because again, there are many. The terrible thing about comedy, or the challenge with comedy, is it has to do every single thing that drama does and also be funny. So it's harder than shooting drama because because there's so many things that are just deadly dull and not funny at all, and there are a lot of people who think that their lives are funnier than they actually are. And so I would so if you can afford to hire someone, if you can hire them as a producer, great. If you can't afford that, hire them minimally as a consultant. So I think what I would do is I would look at the shows, the one camera comedy shows that you love, that you think are great, from maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago. A lot of those producers are still around, but they might not be on hit shows now, but they have the expertise still. So that's something you might want to look at. Yeah.
And there is ageism. I mean, it's a very good idea for you to be
Yes.
shooting it
Yes.
because the executives do keep their eye on the net,
Yes, they do.
and a number of shows have been, but they
Picked
wouldn't
up.
let somebody. They were picked up from the net.
Yes.
Nobody could get a hearing, but they saw the shot thing on the
Yes.
net,
Right.
and they were getting a really good response, and they picked it
Right.
up from the net once it was finished.
Right.
And,
But go ahead.
and the piece that I am involved in now with
Mossy.
Massimiliano about
Yeah.
the
Mafia.
mafia
Yeah.
was one of the things that attracted a tremendous amount of attention was that he was shooting it.
Yes.
That it wasn't a script, that it wasn't this quiet thing, that he was shooting
Well,
it.
it separates the men from the boys, certainly, and there are more and more festivals that are showing pilots as well as movies.
That's another route, yeah.
So that can really help enormously too. So yeah.
So the producer do you think like an experienced producer will also know about distribution, or that's a different
They might.
specialty?
They might.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is they could make sure the thing gets shot well, and they could
That's
help
the
you.
first
They could help you avoid a lot of pitfalls, because most things that are done outside of the traditional television methods are very rough around the edges, and that can be problematical.
What you want to watch out for is signing any contract with anyone
Yes.
as a showrunner.
Yeah. Well, don't do that.
Because
I'm sorry, what did you say, Ellen? Sign or don't sign?
But sign any contract.
Don't sign any contract. Don't promise that someone's going to be the showrunner if the show sells, because you can't make that promise. Okay?
And
The network may well have someone they want to bring aboard.
It could sink your show.
And you can't promise a created by
Right,
credit either.
Right. It could sink your show because there are some old guys who are actually still talented and could run a show, but if the buyer doesn't see them in that light, then your show is dead. So before you attach anyone officially, you could say so-and-so and so-and-so have shown interest in doing this. But if you sign a contract with them, they could become an anchor.
Now, do you think we need a final script before we can get a good producer, or just a good idea and we can get a producer and then develop it?
No. Well, I mean, if you have the script and if the script is good, that helps. But you could even hire a producer to just consult on the script also.
To help us develop it.
Yeah, it just depends on how much money you have. Because people who are successful aren't going to be inexpensive.
The problem is there are so many people with an idea, and they want someone else to make it into a thing.
Right.
And so that's much harder without at least a first draft script.
Genuine, right.
Yeah, find someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have a final product, so you're like, hey, read it right now. I'm sending it to you right now if you want to read it.
Read it. I mean, then if you have a really good script, they could help punch it up, blah blah blah. But too many people want to sell an idea.
Right, and that's lazy.
That's just not. That's really hard.
Yeah. No.
Now the other question is, I got a very mixed understanding from talking to many people. Let's say we successfully pitch it to a few networks and platforms and stuff.
Sure.
Let's say Hulu says, "Oh, we like the pilot.
Yes.
We would like to go ahead with the show." Will they hire the showrunners and say, "Okay, here is your money, make us 10 episodes," or will they say that we like the pilot, then get out of here? We will take buy the right and everything. We will pay you guys whatever the amount. We will make the show.
If
they keep the creative team.
They ideally they would like the voice of the show. How the voice of the show is really everything. The voice of the show is the outlook, the character voice, all of that stuff. If they like that, they'll want to keep the creative team because that's the voice of the show. They'll bring the position. They'll bring aboard a showrunner of their liking to make sure that if they give you $10 million, you don't run away with it, that you actually bring a show back, because they don't know you, and that's a huge risk. That's why they want a showrunner, because it's someone they've worked with before, it's someone they trust. That's how it goes.
They might tag somebody along, but there's a good possibility they will keep the creative team.
It's possible. It's not absolute, but it's possible.
Okay.
But just remember that your greatest moment of power is when they want it and you haven't sold it to them yet. Okay, because that's when you can make
You can negotiate.
Yes. The moment you sell it, all bets are off.
It's gone.
Yes, because even if, let's say, you're attached as a writer or a producer or whatever, they can just buy out your contract and fire you. You know, I mean, it's like they might pay you a yearly fee or whatever, but that doesn't mean you'll be able to be creating the show ongoingly. You know, it's so you really have to be very clear on what you want and how you want to structure it and so forth. It's a big subject. So anything else?
Do you think we should consult a distributing agency beforehand, so to get an idea of what type of material they might be able to sell? That's not the way it's done. You only consult somebody once the whole show is ready.
You can, but what I would suggest is I would start by saying, what comedy shows have I loved? Who wrote and produced those shows? Who's available for me to bring aboard as a consultant? I'd start with that because, I mean, clearly they want diversity in TV now, which is good. They want different kinds of voices, different outlooks, and they also like people. If it's set in a certain country, they like people from that country to be making the show. But also, as I say, comedy has to be funny, and that doesn't mean it can't be specific to whatever culture. It just means that it has to be. I mean, everyone has parents who drive them crazy.
Appealing to the main audience.
It has.
In this case, will be the American audience.
Well, it has to communicate. So, for instance, it doesn't matter if the family is Chinese American or Indian American or whatever,
right.
Because everyone has problems with their family. Everyone has, you know, I mean, and so that's universal. And so it doesn't matter, you know, what accent the parents might have, as long as the jokes work, you know.
Yeah.
And
just be careful of consultants who haven't actually done the thing.
No, absolutely. Or
who actually haven't done the thing.
Because there's
like consultants who have
who
have not actively worked as writer producers in television, but again, you don't want to hire someone who's worked extensively in drama. You want someone who's worked extensively in comedy. Of course.
And then get a really good comedy editor.
Yes, of course. Like Dave Edison.
I think for the right now, because this is a very initial phase, we're looking to team up with a comedy producer.
Yes.
He's very passionate about like the whole thing and like, you know, team up with us and take us through the whole process. But
you have to make sure that the shows they've done are shows you like, because if the shows they've done are crap, then that's what they're going to make your show into. You know, because you won't. I mean, because a sense of humor is a very, very, very individual thing. There are jokes that other people. You know, I mean, you know, there's jokes that I would like that other people would not like, and vice versa. You know, but so really be very, very discerning about that. There's shows that I love, like Faulty Towers, for instance. It's a great show, but other people, you know, they might want to watch something Dumb and Dumber. Yeah, you know, so
comedy is very specific.
Yes. So anything else?
That's all.
Okay.
Thank you for all the great advice.
Of course. Yay. Good luck. Cheers. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. Our next question is from Hayes494.
Great.
And he asks, says, recently many sci-fi shows such as BSG and Enterprise have done an allegory about 9/11.
Yes.
And since the 20th anniversary is coming up, will Space Command do something similar?
No. I don't. It's sort of like 9/11 was an enormous event, of course. I mean, what we will be doing is commenting on war, commenting on, you know, the underdog, commenting on people who have no voice. These will be ongoing themes in everything we do. But we won't be doing something specifically about 9/11. Like when Ron Moore did Battlestar Galactica and was so informed by 9/11 and by torture and all of those things, he was really on the cutting edge of commenting on that as it was occurring, and that was the thesis of his show. And so on Battlestar Galactica, but you can't say, well, you know, it's the 20th anniversary of this, and I'm gonna, you know, I mean, if you were a news program, yeah, you do a featurette on it, you know, but not, no, you find the things that resonate for you. You find the larger themes. We're always going to have violence in humanity comes with a capacity for great compassion and great violence and cruelty, and so we're always going to be dealing with those themes. And but I mean, when 9/11 happened, one of our students was a former cop whose dad died as a result of 9/11, and I went to New York and laid a bouquet of flowers at the site shortly after the event in memoriam of his father. And so and that was really interesting because they actually let me in when the site was closed, and I just talked to the cops and I said, look, this guy's a former cop, New York cop, and his dad died and was a cop as well. So they let me lay flowers in his father's name. So yeah, there's that. So let's see. So let's go to Christine Laurie. Yay!
Okay. Can
There
you
you
hear
go.
me now?
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome. I am Christine Laurie, and I am open to work. I'm currently seeking for executive assistant, personal assistant opportunities specific to the entertainment industry. A couple weeks ago, I worked on a set. And that was a lot of fun. Reminded me how much fun it could be. Then I got my pay, and I went, oh, well, that's weird. Wait, what? And I had to go back and look it up. And on one day, they paid me less than they said they were going to, and then I argued with them, and they paid me correctly for that. And then on a different day, they paid me more than they said they were going to, and I'm like, I don't know what they're doing. Apparently, they don't know what they're doing. So it's interesting that there's money flying everywhere. Very exciting though. And one of my friends in Ireland asked me to help her on a project that she's started. So I said yes to that. And then kind of like what Mark was just saying to Bridget, it depends on what you want and how many people you get on board. Because she asked me maybe a month or two ago to help her on it. And now she's adding other people, and she goes, oh yeah, I'm going to put them as this and that, because this person is that. And I'm like, I'm going to have a conversation with her about exactly what Mark said. You're giving away too many pieces of the pie.
Yes.
So I know she's not signed any paperwork with me. And so we'll see what happens next.
Yeah.
Always excited to be here. Definitely feel like I've grown from being around the type of members and being able to participate in different projects that they're on. And looking forward to continuing into 2021. It's just like summer outside today, and
Yes.
it's
hot
at night.
Yes. Great. So anything else, Christine? Anything else you need?
Yeah,
Okay, great.
Welcome.
3 cheers. Yay. Excellent. So do we have another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes. Our next Mr. Sci-Fi question comes to us from Fit to Be Read, and wants to know your thoughts on authors behaving badly. Speaker for the Dead and Ender's Game are two of the greatest sci-fi books, but hard to recommend due to Card's horribly inflammatory comments over the years.
Well, the thing I love about time is that over the course of time, the work is what remains if it's well done, and people don't care so much about the actor, the writer, or the actors or the artists' idiosyncrasies as a person. I mean, Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec or Van Gogh or Gauguin. I mean, who knows what they were like to hang out with? I mean, they were probably jerks, but who cares? They were brilliant artists, and so with writers, I mean, my God, if you went down just your bookcase and said, okay, which of these people would have offended you had you ever been in a conversation with them? Most of them probably would have, and so. I mean, so with Orson Scott Card, yes, I thought it was very unfortunate, his anti-gay comments. I've met him, I know him, I actually like him, but obviously I don't agree with him. I think we all have to really strive toward tolerance and being open to other kinds of people, other practices, other customs, other everything. And intolerance is also part of all of our natures. I mean, anytime we encounter someone where they eat differently than we do, or they talk louder or quieter than we do, or they whatever, they don't show their emotions, or they show too many emotions, there's always, by our very nature, we're irritable and irritated easily. But in terms of Scott Card, I think he made a mistake going public. One thing I always try and do when I make political statements is I say, look, I'm open to other people's opinions, and you don't have to agree with me for us to be able to be civil to each other. The only things that I disagree with vociferously are anything that limits someone else's freedom, like, for instance, voter suppression. I can't side with that. Anything that takes away someone's rights. I think everyone has equal rights and should have equal rights. I think everyone should be treated the same.
Maybe, Mark, you should not. Then, Mark, you should probably be aware of how bad the new voting laws are in Georgia.
I know. Yeah, no, I've been following that. That's what I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is,
I mean, I don't know if you've heard on like MSNBC, but Chuck Schumer is hopefully going to fight for it in August. I hope that Joe Manchin gives it and they at least get rid of the filibuster for that one.
Well, again, we try not to talk about politics specifically at the table because some people are right wing, some people are left wing. I mean, my main point is that if something's actively hurting people, I can't be supportive of the people who are doing it for, whatever their political stripe. Whereas if they're not actively hurting someone and they just have sort of wacky opinions, as long as it's not creating harm in the world, then I'll be a little more forgiving. I mean, someone who believes that the fairies are talking to them, I mean, like the little fairies, the little mythical creatures are talking to them, at night. And I mean, one of our neighbors once said that our dogs would talk to her in English when we were gone, and it's like, okay, I just said, well, thanks for telling me. It's like I didn't pursue that line of conversation. But certainly, it was very interesting. When I was growing up reading science fiction, I had no idea what the politics of all these different writers that I loved were. I didn't know if, who was on the right and who was on the left. But then, when I was, maybe 11 or 12 years old, during the Vietnam War, I think it was in Galaxy Magazine, they had an ad, a 2-page ad. And it was on the left side were the writers who were against the Vietnam War, and the right side, there were the science fiction writers who were for the Vietnam War. And all of a sudden, I could see who was on the right and who was on the left. So Heinlein and Poul Anderson and those guys were on the right, and Harlan Ellison and Ted Sturgeon and a lot of those other writers were on the left. And for the first time, I realized what their politics were, and grown up reading and really loving all of these writers. And so, I think the good part is that if you do your work well, it lasts. And and so maybe Shakespeare was probably a jerk too. So so who can say? So that's the answer to that one. So I guess Nina, you're next on my screen if you wanna go for it.
Hey guys, how y'all doing? I got my second shot.
Yay! Okay.
Yay.
So I'm probably going to be short-lived here. Things are okay. Things are good. Following the star money signs and looking for workshops that are actually happening so I can meet people out here. And I had a song submitted for a film for the closing credits that I wrote and sang on and recorded, which was kind of exciting. It was pretty exciting.
Right.
And just trudging along. And I'm an actress, a singer, a songwriter, which I don't talk about very much. And that I've got some auditions coming up that should be fun, and it'll just be nice to work through stuff again. It doesn't mean I'm not somebody who auditions and then thinks about it. I audition and just be happy with the audition going well.
Yes.
And walking away feeling good about what I did and who I'd met and how that went. Because if you worry about getting the gig, you just drive yourself nuts.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm so close. So that's it. Just thank you all for being here. Love you all. And I'm going to peace out and go to bed, I think.
Okay. Thanks, Nina. Good to see you, as always.
Congratulations.
Yay.
So congratulations.
Terrific. That's great. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Our next question comes to us from Scott Baker.
Hello, Scott.
He wants to know, and he wants to clarify that he misphrased his question using the word dance so could aliens use movement, precise spatial positions to impart meaning? So like
of course.
Of limbs,
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. I mean, again, my thought is that when we encounter sentient aliens, they're not going to be like us at all. I mean, when you think of trying to communicate with an octopus, for instance, or any other relatively intelligent creature on Earth, how do you find common ground? How do you find a way of communicating? I mean, we have, some animals have a similar emotional palette, like dogs, for instance, or even parrots on occasion. But, it's like, I wouldn't assume that it's going to be people with little bumps on their nose. I think it's going to be really different. And, and also I'm very nervous. Like, it's very interesting. There are two camps in terms of scientists. Some scientists say, yes, let's send out the messages to get intelligent aliens to contact us. And other people say, we probably should keep our heads down and not let them know we're here. Because if you look at what humanity has done to less technologically developed members of its own race, an advanced alien species, there's really the question of whether intelligence is a trait developed for predators. It's very interesting to think about that. Predators are often more intelligent than the prey animals that they eat. And if predation is a accompanying feature in high intelligence,
you have to really watch out for those dolphins.
Well, the fuckers. Yeah, those fuckers. So, just bastards. So, but anyway, but the point is that if it's a predatory species that's very intelligent and they come to Earth, it might go extremely badly. There's no telling. Because the problem with technologically intelligent species is that we only have an example of one. And so to extrapolate off of an example of one is not really possible. You can't you can't know what the spectrum will be. And so we'll see what we see, but it's the aliens that I write about are not like human beings at all. And so so yes, the movement would certainly work as a communication medium. So, okay, great. So Carol, you're up. Go for it.
Hi, everybody. So nice to see you.
Yes.
Carol Field. I guess I'm an actress first here. Open for table reads.
Cool.
Hope you all watch the Academy Awards. I call them the Academy Awards this year because there's no singing and dancing.
Well, there's Glenn Close. Glenn Close danced. We got she moved her booty.
She moved her tuchus.
Yes.
She sure
Yes.
did.
Yes.
I had an interesting situation yesterday that I related to the three personal things too.
Mm-hmm.
Someone told me their agent sent them up to talk to a financier who was very interested in her movie. The financier wanted to really change it a lot. So she was talking to me about that.
Yeah.
I thought, if it's your first movie, would you care? Freaking change it. Would you care?
Well, the challenge with that is one has to be very careful about doing major rewrites before money is in hand. If the promise of money is not sufficient to do massive amounts of work, I think one has to be very, very careful of that. If it's someone who says, okay, look, if you make these changes, I'll put up $1 million, then, if the changes don't completely ruin it and make it a piece of crap, then yes. But you have to have a contract before you do the rewrite that says, okay, this is the agreement, and this frees up that money, which has to be, in an escrow account or something, because.
Yeah, but she took it really personally. And I thought of an incident that happened to me a couple of these things. I was at the Jackie Mason show in New York.
Oh, great.
It was called, they converted Sunnyside Gardens boxing arena into a legit house.
Sure.
The first show was the Jackie Mason show.
Great.
They thought they'd attract everybody because of his name, and they sure did.
Wow.
It was called Sexapoppin'.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't sexy at all, though.
No.
It was just, it was double entendres, very cute. So it'd be Jackie doing, the reason I'm telling you this, it'd be Jackie doing the comic, and then we singer dancers in the back doing our little things. And then we did a few skits too. I was the only one who was in all the skits, all the dances, and it was all me and Teresa Saldana.
Great.
Bless her, not good. But something interesting happened about a week and a half before we opened. They fired Larry Stevens, who's a wonderful choreographer, and brought in this couple. The minute I saw them, I said they're nefarious.
Mm-hmm.
And they said to us for our opening number, we had this darling little tulip, like 1930s one piece on.
Mm-hmm.
Embarrassing to say, they wanted us to cut the backs out.
Mm-hmm.
So it turned into burlesque. I called my equity representative and I said, "What's my out clause?" He said, "You didn't sign up for a burlesque show. You can leave anytime you want if that's what they're going to turn it into."
Yes.
I didn't want to. Jackie came to see me sing in a lot of clubs. I don't want to do it to him.
Yes.
But I said I went to the producer, and I mean, this is what's called like sticking up for yourself. And I said, I didn't get hired for this. I didn't get hired to cut out my clothes. And I either will not be in any of those numbers. And I was like significant to them. I said, I will either not be in any of those numbers, or I am going to quit if this continues.
Right.
They were, she listened to me and they adjusted stuff. But
Wow.
There were still about 6 girls who were happy turning it into burlesque.
Wow. Wow.
It was advertised as a family-friendly show.
Jesus.
And they had to change all the advertising 10 days before the freaking show. It was such a mess. But the point is, I said, I'm sticking to my ground. I'm not, this is what I'm doing. I'm either going to not be those numbers or I'm leaving the show. I don't care if it mess up the whole show at this point.
Yes.
And they did it like a middle ground kind of thing. But
yes.
I just thought of that when she said that they wanted to change things, and she took it personally. I just thought of a bunch of instances. It sort of happened to me. Deciding not to leave, but sort of bridging the difference.
Sure, yes. Well, in that regard, you, in the book I just finished, I say that, and I've said this at the table too, your career will be defined by 2 points along a spectrum, what you stand for and what you won't stand for, and you have to be clear on what those 2 things are, because, every battle you fight, you will not win. But if you know what's right for you, then you can at least either win or lose, but emerge with clean hands, and because there are some times when the right choice is to leave, and many times, but if you can strike a compromise where you don't feel ill-used, and yet the people you're working for feel heard, that's great. But in terms of your friend, it's like at the end of the day, if you have a career where nothing ever gets made, you don't have a career. It's not a career,
Right.
and so she really has to kind of say, okay, what career do I want? Because if you just are writing stuff and it never gets made, never gets sold,
but that does feel dicey.
Well, yeah, it does. Sure.
That whole thing does feel dicey. Yeah.
I just thought of like Jackie Mason's show, and this could be a big thing. I'm loving doing it. I don't know.
But I mean, I think
I didn't have to cut out the back of my shorts.
Well, there you go. Yeah, exactly. But okay, great. That's a great. So, anything else, Carol?
Yeah. If any of you need a singer on camera or off camera, feel free to call me. I can help you with that. I have 4 octaves. I prefer Broadway Barbra Streisand, Jane Line height, but I can do whatever you want.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine. And yeah, that's all.
Okay, yay, 3 cheers. Excellent. So we'll take another Mr. Sci-Fi question, then we'll do you, Paul. I just noticed that you're there, and I know you're in England and so forth. So Liverpool. But okay, so another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam.
And that's great, Carol. I found an octave like under the couch cushions.
Well, there you go.
So.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Because that was probably because you tried to strain for the octave and it ejected from your body forcibly.
Yeah.
So.
Or I was trying to hold it in so that my speakers don't yell.
Probably came out of the end of a tuba.
Yeah.
So our next question is from Mark Lungo.
Hi, Mark.
And he says, have either you or Elaine ever gotten writer's block? And if so, how did you deal with it?
Well,
not for quite a few years.
It's
no.
Sometimes I'll struggle trying to find my way in. Like on Greenlighting Yourself, Elaine and I both struggled to try to find a way to start that book, and that took quite a while to kind of get past. Or with the short story Grizzled Space Jockey, I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull it off because I haven't written that many. I've written very few short stories in recent years, but then you just kind of cogitate on something and you figure your way to navigate. So I haven't had writer's block in that way. No. You when you're a professional writer, you figure out how to figure stuff out, So yeah, absolutely. So Paul, why don't you go for it?
Hello, and my apologies for not being here over the last couple of months, actually.
Wow.
My name is Paul Dove. I'm an actor, an agent, producer, you name it, I'll do anything. Hello, Lane. Hello, Mark. And Adam. And I've got to say, isn't Carol looking lovely tonight? Looks like a model.
Well, there you go. Yeah, well, that's, well, there you go.
Yeah, I've been very busy. I've been very, very lucky, actually, because all of a sudden, just loads and loads of work came up. It's like 2:30 in the morning here in Britain. I'm getting picked up in about 3.5 hours' time.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
My next job.
Wow.
It's been really good. Literally a mile from where I live, just built 2 brand new sound stages.
Wow. That's great.
The third one will be built within the next 12 months.
Wow.
So it's all happening here. With a bit of good news, hopefully I shall be in Los Angeles next July.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
That's great.
I'm hoping to be there for about 3 months. So if anyone wants to use and abuse me, please do.
Yeah. And I was thinking about this earlier today, because eventually in the next few months, the pandemic will be sufficiently lifted where we might start resuming in-person meetings, but then we have to figure out how the Zoom aspect of the table will.
That means I can go to camp.
It's Marie Callender's. Yeah. But we're not quite there yet. But in the next few months, we probably will be. So we have to figure out a way to bridge the gap between this new way of doing things and the old way. So, but that'll be great to see.
Well, I won't be able to go there often because I don't live here.
Right, I understand, Stephen. So, and Paul, just to go back to you. So, but yeah, it'll be good to see you in person. That'll be great.
Well, I should have been coming out there in June, but of course, no flights.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or they won't let you on a flight, and then you've got to pay stupid money to pay an hours just to go and lock down for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
So,
it's crazy.
But I'm actually coming out for a wedding as well, so
Wow.
at Lake Arrowhead.
Cool.
It was pretty up there.
Great. That's
I
nice.
should move there.
That'll be great. That'll be great. So, anything else you need? Any questions?
Can I just go back to when I came on? There was a chap. Is it Kushik?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, that's me.
That's him. Yeah.
Right. Were you looking to do one camera on a comedy show?
That's right. I'm looking to do a single cam sitcom pilot based in a medical office.
Yes.
My answer to that would be, if you look the way we're looking at Mark and Elaine, they're both sitting there and you're getting the two of them in at once. That's the American way of doing it, I think. Whereas if you look at the British way of doing it, it's going from flitting from one person to another, and it looks rubbish. Look at the different camera ways to British and American, and you'll find the American way is far superior.
Yes. That's great. Thank you, Paul. Anything else for now?
I'm going to have to go in a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I'm up in a couple of hours. So
yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Great. Thank you. Good seeing you as always. Take care, Paul. Congratulations. So, Adam.
I've had my first vaccine.
Yay! Congratulations. That's great. Good. Well. Good. So, Adam,
on this side of the pond, we call them Fauci ouchies.
You do. I don't. But
I I'm the only one.
Yeah. Exactly. It's not catching on. So, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. We have another question from Scott Baker.
Hi, Scott.
Who says, we lost Collins this week on the heels of For All Mankind's season 2 finale.
Yes.
Spoilers for those. I probably should have said that for. Geez, Scott, just drop him those spoilers.
Well, he's talking about Michael Collins, the real-life astronaut who died at 90 this week. He was the third. He was the third guy on Apollo 11. He was the one who stayed in orbit.
So the question is, have the showrunners sought and received the blessings of real astronauts they portray?
It's a very interesting question. I'll have to ask Ron Moore. They had Sally Ride in it, who's real. They had Deke Slayton, who's real. I mean, I would assume that they would ask if it's okay to use those people. Particularly Sally Ride, takes an action that's very dramatic, let us say. But they're being very, very careful how they're treating some of these characters. Like, for instance, they have a female astronaut who's gay, but that isn't Sally Ride, who in real life was. And so she kept it on the down low, and it's only when she died that they mentioned her longtime companion. And I think it should be taught in every school that there was a lesbian astronaut, because people assume there isn't. People assume, unless you know that, you know, major people in history have been gay, have been of all sorts, have been Muslim, etc., etc. You know, you want inclusion and truth in the historical narrative. So, but I'm you know, but I'll have to ask Ron that. I assume he's cleared it with the families of real life people. You know, they don't have real life people who are still alive. I've noticed that. So they have Werner von Braun, and they have, you know, Reagan, President Reagan, you know, but they don't, you know, they don't have anyone, like they haven't had Buzz Aldrin, for instance. So, you know, so yeah. So, okay, great. So let's see. So I guess
Bonnie?
Stephen, no, well, no, Bonnie. Yeah, Bonnie, we missed you. Sorry. I'm sorry, Bonnie. Go for it, Bonnie.
Okay, hello everybody, and yeah, it'll be different going into places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Person.
Creepy. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be very different.
Yes.
So I'm working on different things. Yeah, we're starting our composer group, starting to do collaborations, writing different songs about like summer, and then what I forgot to do is watch the cut of Mike Lopez's film. I forgot something. But I don't. He may have momentarily have a new cut, but yeah, just working, getting ready to start restart a film that got paused during COVID. And that person is, as I've mentioned, an amazing tap dancer. All their films have a lot of dance. In fact, actually, this Monday is the 100th birthday of a woman who was married to a very famous jazz drummer. Her name is Flip Man. She was married to Shirley Man. And Flip Man, until just a few years ago, was regularly tap dancing, at least in classes and things like that. So my friend, the filmmaker, and this person, who I also know, because she's also head for years of the LA Jazz Society, they're going to do some kind of tap dance on her 100th birthday on Monday.
Oh, how fun. Wow. How great.
That's pretty cool.
That's great.
And doing a lot of things with the union, different, yeah, our union actually, well, anyway, our union is in favor of the PRO Act, which, so we've been doing some campaigning about that. But yeah, just working on a lot of different little things. Probably forgetting things, but I'm sure. Just anybody need music, just let me know. Which, oh yeah, it's just kind of funny that a choir that I've been having fun singing with, this jazz choir, we're gonna, for the fun of it, it's the Randy Van Horn Singers. So we're recording a thing, and we're one of the people in the group wrote a parody lyrics, and so we're recording
great
the Randy Bunch theme. So
that's fun.
That's going to be fun.
That's great.
It'll just be fun. Anyway, just a lot of different little things, big things, and just good to see everybody. And I guess that's it.
Great, yay! So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. Our next question comes to us from. I have it. Oh, here we go. Interesting. I think Kevin Scott got things mixed up. He says Scott and Elaine. I think he's talking to you, Mark.
Sure.
But he says, have you ever dreamed a great story and wrote it down quickly before forgetting it?
No. The great example of that is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, where Robert Louis Stevenson dreamed a good part of that story, and that's great. Elaine once had a dream that was very elaborate, and it was a very cool horror story, but then people get very engaged in her telling of it, and then she would just stop, because that's where she woke up, and they'd say, well, how's it end? How's it end? And Elaine would say, I don't know. And then people would get pissed off at her.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny.
Yeah, because that's when I woke up, and
Yeah.
I didn't have the ending, so I stopped telling people the dream.
Yes, but dreams are very interesting to portray in fiction. I mean, it's dreams are really, really interesting. And lucid dreaming. One thing I did discover years ago when I was a college student, I for a number of months, I kept a record of my dreams, and I found that when I was recording them in the morning, I was remembering a lot more of my dreams. I stopped ultimately because it was taking me a couple hours to write the dreams down ultimately every morning, and I just couldn't afford to spend that much of my day doing that. But and now when I read those I'll sometimes look in those journals, and I'm referencing all these people I knew back then who I have no idea who are now, and so it's like kind of not as helpful a record of my brain as we might have had otherwise. So there you go. So okay, cool. So Stephen, I guess it's your turn now.
Hi, I'm sorry. Hi, Mark.
Hi.
Hi. So I'm still interested in volunteering, but particularly around Orange County.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just because it's too hard for me to go to LA. So
sure.
Especially once COVID ends, if we could find me, somewhere to volunteer around or meet connections in Orange County,
sure.
maybe Long Beach at the farthest.
Uh-huh.
And while I am down to meet you guys, I wish we met like 3 years ago when I was living in Calabasas with my parents, like when.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely ready for life to get back to normal because I want to go on some vacations. But also, like Coach Robin wanted me to tell you all, I might be doing this program, and I might need some of your guys' help to learn some editing or directing skills down
sure.
the road. So I wrote in the comments. So can we be in touch when the time is right? And do you think, like
sure.
in the coming months, we can find me someone to meet in Orange County or Long Beach?
Well, I mean, the main thing is, first of all, our studio is in Pico Rivera, which is heading toward Orange County. It's not like West Hollywood where we live, but again, one's I mean, the table has a lot of members in a lot of different places. So one theoretically, if one put out the word, someone might be shooting something or doing something down there. It's very possible. Additionally, letting the film schools down there know that you're open to being like a PA or whatever, that's that can be very helpful too. But yeah, so I mean, as we get nearer to those times, we can definitely talk further about it, of course.
I mean, I wish I could come down to, well, maybe I will one day to go to Sherman Oaks, but it won't be very often.
Yeah, I understand. So anything else for now?
Basically, I hope we could connect eventually, or maybe
sure.
we can meet like down the road.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Well, great. Well, good seeing you, Stephen, as always. So 3 cheers.
Thank you.
Yay. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Yes, we have our next question is from Ian.
Hi, Ian.
No last name.
That's fine. Yeah, shorter the better.
He says, have you read Steve Barnes' book adaptation for DS9's Far Beyond the Stars?
It's funny.
How do you feel about adaptations in general?
It was fun. I haven't read the entire book. I've glanced at it, and I know Steve Barnes, of course. He wrote that entire novel in a month because they approached him and said, look, we'll give you the assignment if you can do it in a month. So, but he was thrilled, of course, and he just loved doing that novel, and he put a lot of heart and soul into it. Novelizations are a very dicey form of fiction, there are a few of them that are good, but I tend not to read novelizations because why on earth should I? I have a lot of stuff to read, but I don't have a problem with people doing them. Some of them I hear are better. Like, for instance, I've heard that Orson Scott Card's novelization of The Abyss actually, it was more of a collaboration between him and James Cameron, and I should read that at some point. I've heard it's good, but I don't really, every now and then I'll read a novelization. I read 2001. 2001 was written when they were actually making the movie, and that was very interesting because the movie, Kubrick deliberately took out all of the explanations of what's happening, and Arthur C. Clarke kept them in the novel. So I read the novel to try to understand what the movie was about, and now I do, of course. But that was one case where and that wasn't a novelization per se; it was an accompanying novel. So I'll frequently, when I see a movie I like, I'll frequently read the novel that it's based on, and that's a very different thing because often the novel, if it's a good book, will have more in it, and if you like the characters or the storyline in the movie, if they're both good, that can be a very rewarding experience. So there's that. So let's see. So next on my screen is Karen. Go for it, Karen.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you guys?
Great.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, I just wanted to respond to the person who was talking about the dream. There's an apocryphal story about William Goldman that he had a dream one night of an amazing idea for a movie, and he dreamed this amazing scenario, and he decided when he woke up in the middle of the night, just decided to write just a few words down to remind him, so that when he woke up in the morning, he would remember this amazing story. And when he woke up, his note said, "Boy meets girl, boy loses girl, boy gets girl."
That's funny. That's funny.
So, I mean, I guess the point of that story is there's really nothing new under the sun.
Yeah.
So I wanted to respond a little bit to Kushek, is it?
Yes.
Because I run a small production company, and that's what I've been doing for the last couple of years. I've been in the entertainment industry for like 25 years, but some of that was writing, and my son was an actor, and I was not an agent, a manager for a while. But I've been running this production company for almost 10 years. And I can tell you that in the last few years, the way that both television and movies are being made is really, really different. I mean, I've done sort of both. I've seen both sides. And I would be interested to know whether or not he's interested in talking about making this something to go on network, or if he wants to sell it to a streaming service. Netflix tends to have very, very high deliverables. They want network quality, theater quality. So if you're going to shoot for Netflix, you really need to create something that's, that looks like it could be on television, and you need to talk to someone. Okay, so let me back up for a minute. When people talk about producing, I've done this for a couple of people who've come to me with stories about their lives and whatever. We just had a story that got it's now on Amazon about a man whose wife had Alzheimer's. Wow. It was picked up by Gravitas. I know I'm kind of talking in circles here, Kushik, but just try and follow. Maybe we'll look later. Yeah, it was picked up by Gravitas because a lot of times these companies will bundle. So they'll take some stuff that Mark and Elaine might think is junk, but they'll bundle it up with good stuff and sell it all together. And so Gravitas, a lot of times you can. We made this movie, which, believe me, the quality of the movie was not great, but it's now on Amazon Prime because it got bundled by Gravitas with some other stuff. Anyway, I've done this for a couple of people. Lots of people have this idea that there was a guy who believed he had lived past lives. I'm now working with a guy, going tomorrow for a meeting with a guy who is a fairly major sports star who has an idea about sports in his life as a sports star. And okay, so what my company does, now there's two different ways of producing, right? Or they go together. My company will basically come in. I have thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and a crew. And I will come in and shoot your show. So if your show is written and you know what you want, and you have other people there who are setting everything up, right? So I don't have to do any of that part. I'm just walking in and shooting. So, I could do that for a fairly reasonable amount of money. We're not talking about the $1 million budgets that you'd have to do network. And if you want to sell it to someone like Hulu or Amazon, we can do that in 1080p. Believe me, it's not hard. I mean, right now, 4K cameras are not hard. Like shooting something that's not that's not necessarily network quality, but that is quality enough that you could really make quite a good product, especially if you want to just do a pilot. So you're basically talking about a sizzle, right?
I think shooting is probably the easiest part of the entire project.
Well, I would probably argue with you there, since it is my job to do it, and it's probably less easy than most people think. But I will agree that getting someone to shoot it is not too hard. Because like I said, what you need is a small production company like mine. And that's what we do. We walk in. Now, so I have basically two tiers if I'm selling my services to someone. I can walk in and just bring my crew, or I can produce your show. And if I'm going to produce your show, that's a different story. Now I'm talking about, managing writers, all of the business
and the back end team.
And what I would say,
that stuff myself, but I would connect you with other people.
Right.
Anyway, so what I'm trying to say about this is that it is a great idea, I think, what they suggested, which is to find someone who's done it before.
Yes.
But you aren't necessarily going to have to look Like, you don't know me. You wouldn't know my name, but I've done this 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So look for people who have small companies who can create something that will work for you on your budget. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know what your budget is, but I know, what most people are coming in with, and they're mostly not coming in with $1 million budgets.
No.
So, if your budget is more in the, 6 figures or high 5 figures,
Yeah.
you don't want to look for someone who's been a showrunner on television. They're not going to do a show that you can afford.
Yeah.
You want to look for a small production company that can whip this out, make something for you and do what you want as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, and a couple things I just want to jump in on that. I mean, you, Kushuk, you and Karen absolutely should have a follow-up conversation to discuss this, and then you could do due diligence. You could talk to people she's worked with, or looked at the sales of shows she's done. I mean, again, it's the rules change so much and so quickly of how things get sold. It's it really is I mean, from the way shows were sold and made back when I started in television, to now is unrecognizable. Yeah, but I like things the way they're done now better, frankly. But what I would say is, so you guys should definitely talk, and
I'm going to contact.
and of course, when they talk about 5 figures or 6 figures, the key question is, okay, where's the decimal point go? Because yeah, because that's always but yeah, and again, it's always about, some people can work very quickly, some people don't work as quickly. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's of high quality or low quality. I've known people who work extremely fast and extremely well. Elaine and I are among those people. We can write, particularly in writing. I mean, my God, we're able to turn stuff around extremely quickly. But yeah, I think, but you guys should definitely have a follow-up conversation. So beyond that, Karen, is there anything you need or anything you wanted to mention?
No, I don't need anything right now.
Okay.
Hey, Paul, when you're in LA, call me.
Great, cool. Yeah, I think he's gone away, but you can definitely send him a message. And yeah, absolutely. So okay, great. So hey, 3 cheers. Good. So is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam?
Let's take a look. I think we do. We have one. Yeah, there's there's a question from let's see, Reaping or Mr. Eaping.
Yes, great.
Don't know how to pronounce that, but that's what it says. They say, is there a market for audio stories?
Yes.
Sound effects, actors, music.
Yes.
Well, making them, but think if somewhere around the corner, these would be great, and they're cheap to produce. So should I be looking for podcast distribution?
Yes to all of that. Audio, some years ago, graphic novels were sort of the incubators for TV shows and movies. Now it's audio drama podcasts. A number of them are selling as TV shows. And so absolutely, it's an extremely viable form. And there are distributors for podcasts who handle these kind of things. And yeah, absolutely. That's, totally makes sense. So great. So Mark Gushowitz, go for it.
Hello. Okay, so this has been a strange week for me as my Facebook was hacked and Facebook just decided to take my profile completely down.
Oh no.
And as I'm getting ready to finally put my website and podcast up, I've lost 6.5 years worth of contacts.
Oh God.
That other podcasts have gotten me, so that I could then send out and say, "Hey guys, this is my podcast about my website." And I've done the research. Facebook doesn't believe in customer support, as they don't have a single way to reach out to them. And so I've started rebuilding a new profile. So if anybody gets a friend request from me, it is not somebody in a hack. It's me trying to rebuild my contacts. And if we were friends and you don't hear from me, it's probably because, like with Christine Laurie, I tried to pull up her name and about 500 of them come up. And so I have a hard time finding that person. So if you don't hear from me and you want to reach out, please do. But that's how I've been spending the last couple of days. For my short, Earl sent me another, I think he sent it last, I mentioned this on Thursday, they sent me another round of my sound. I do not get to actually listen to it until Monday, and it sounded really good. A couple more things need to be done, but very, very happy with what he did with my sound. So now we can go on to music and finish this thing. Started editing my first podcast episode, and that's going well. I've got an interview set up with Joseph Doherty for next Wednesday, where we're going to talk about the movie Them. So I've been watching a lot of old creature features to incorporate into the conversation.
Great.
So that's been a lot of fun.
Cool.
And for people who don't know, my website and podcast is basically going to be centered around bringing attention to unseen, underseen, misunderstood movies that need to be revisited. So we won't be talking movies like Godfather, because everybody already knows they have to see that. But movies that me and my guests feel people should see that really people don't even know exist or haven't seen for whatever reason. Still looking for a name, hoping to have one next Wednesday. It's the toughest thing to find a name for a podcast. When you come up with good ones, they're taken. And so I started thinking about movie underdogs, and then I could do a theme that would be kind of a take on the underdog theme, but I don't know. I'm just trying to play around with I want the word movie or film in there, so I'm just trying to play with a creative way to say Mark had mentioned gems as a word. I'm trying to maybe incorporate that in there too, because I just wrote a review today for a movie called Triangle, which is a movie I love and recommend all the time to people. If you haven't seen it, it's really, really great Twilight Zone-esque kind of movie. If you can find a plot hole in it, I'd love for you to find it for me, because there's so many twists and turns that you'd figure there'd be at least one plot hole in it. But there's really but anyway, as I was writing it, I talked about, I have to uncover these hidden gems. I'm like, well, maybe I need to kind of incorporate those kind of words.
You bet.
So
sounds
other
great.
Than that, I've been working on a travel show type project for a paid gig, and just been waiting for notes for like a week. I had to come a week ago and got back with notes. Watching a lot of old movies. This podcast website's so much fun because I get to revisit all my favorite movies that maybe I haven't seen in 10, 15 years.
Wow.
And when Joseph came up with doing Them, I pulled out a movie called Gorgo, which I love, and I haven't seen it in 15 years. I just rewatched it, and it just really held up. I really loved it. So it's been a lot of fun revisiting these movies. Of course, there's a little fear that I'm going to revisit one thinking, that I loved, and I'm going to go, it's not so good. That hasn't happened yet.
Good. That's fun.
So that's me in a nutshell for right now.
Okay, 3 cheers. Yay. So there's another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam.
Let's see. Yes. We have another Scott Baker question.
Okay, go for it.
And he asked, have you heard any good country and western songs with a sci-fi motif? Alternatively, have you heard any country and western songs with a sci-fi motif?
No, not that I know of. I'm not a huge country western, aficionado, so I would not be the person to ask about that. There are very few good science fiction songs, period. Probably one of the best is Science Fiction Double Feature, which is a song in Rocky Horror Picture Show that has all these references to really, really fun movies, and that's terrific. But it's science fiction songs that are good are few and far between for whatever reason. So there is that. So Michael Pickett, I guess it's your turn if you wanna go for it.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
My question is, well, I'm an actor, and I guess my question has to do with side jobs as an actor when you're starting out. I currently, there's a job that I'm doing currently that it's a good opportunity. Like it has an opportunity to pay really well, but it's not necessarily fulfilling for me artistically.
Right.
And I struggle with that because it's like should you do something if it's good income or just do something that you're passionate about and then come to stuff that you really. I mean, it doesn't matter to you because you're passionate about it.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yes, it does, and I can answer that. Any job that leaves you no energy to pursue your art is not going to be a good job to have long term. So in other words, if you're working for several, like for instance, back when I was writing animation, I could earn $100,000 in about 3 months, and that was enough for me to live on for the whole year. And so I was then able to write spec features or whatever else I wanted to do. And then I made the jump to live action. But you cannot be in a job that drains you emotionally and drains your energy, so there's nothing left of you when you get home, no matter how well it pays. You have to have the room in your life to do your art. Because and also one thing I strongly believe in is, and there are people who will disagree with this vehemently, but I believe in keeping your overhead low so that you can get through the thick, the good times and the bad times, and you don't have to take any job that comes its way because you need to pay a huge amount of overhead. Other people believe that you should spend more than you earn so that you are pushed to earn a lot. My friend Guillermo del Toro feels that way, and he certainly benefited from that on his side. But for me, living in an apartment, having 2 cars that we own outright, it allows us a lot of freedom to pursue what we want. So, but the real answer to your question is, if you don't take a stand for what you believe in and what you want to do, who will? And so there are many, many, many people who inside they say they are writers, they are actors, they are directors, they are whatever, but they're working 9 to 5 jobs or whatever and not doing their art, and not, because you have to be so really superlative to succeed. I mean, there are always people who can't write or who can't act, and we see them all over the place, who somehow get a lucky break, but that can't be your strategy. Your strategy has to be, I'm going to give this 110% of what I've got. I'm going to become so good at this that the world's going to take notice. And that takes time and energy and commitment. So if the job pays well, and allows you the time to take your acting classes and do your, short films or whatever, yes. But if it doesn't, then put a time limit on it. So for instance, you can say, okay, I'll work for 3 months and then I'll quit, or whatever, and then for the rest of the year I'll live on that money. But never take a full-time job ongoingly that doesn't allow you any room to pursue your work, your real work, which is your art. Does that make sense? Oh, Michael, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah. Any other questions? No. And one thing I will say is that that if you do end up succeeding as an actor or as a writer, as a producer, as a director, it can pay a hell of a lot of money. And so, for instance, I've made millions from my writing. And
where is it?
God knows. I think it's in this dog food that we buy these stupid dogs. I think they've eaten it up. But the thing is, I've earned much more than my parents ever did. And because I pursued my dream. And thanks to Elaine, I accomplished it. She was there backing me and encouraging me. And, but, people's opportunities vanish. People's ability vanishes. As you get older, it gets harder. So now that you're young, take advantage of that now and really go for it, because you don't want to look back when you're, 60 and say, well, what did I do with my time? I earned a lot of money, but ultimately, what did that mean? I was able to buy a Lamborghini. Who cares? So, so that's sort of my little thing. Any other questions? Anything else you need?
By the way, I'll second that, except for the Lamborghini part.
Yeah. But yeah, now, of course, there are many, many people who don't follow their dream and still get paid shit wages. And that's the worst of all. It's like you're working in shit jobs, getting paid shit and not pursuing your dream. That's the worst of all, but and also I don't know anyone, let's put it this way. I know many, many, many people who followed their dream and succeeded and are very happy and very glad that they did that. And I don't know anyone who wasted decades of their lives just pursuing money, who at the end of that was happy. They always felt that they should have been braver and stronger and more committed to their vision, you know. And that doesn't mean you'll succeed, by the way, but it gives you a much better chance, you know. So anything else? Okay, yay, 3 cheers, Michael. So another Mr. Sci-Fi question, Adam.
Yes. And then, of course, you know, the other solution is to rise up against the bourgeoisie and
yeah. Well, let me know how that works out for you, Adam.
I'm still waiting for it to trickle down.
I want my government cheese. If you remember that those days. Yeah, but where's my government cheese? So
so our next question is from Max Payne.
Great.
Who asks, have you ever watched Dust, the YouTube channel that has sci-fi short stories?
Yeah.
There's an original film called System Error.
Huh. I've watched just a little bit, and I've met with those executives actually, but I haven't really gotten into it much. Again, you know, one only has so much time in this world. So, but I think they're, you know, allowing a great opportunity for short films that can then be incubators for features and careers and so forth. So I applaud what they're doing. Let's see. So Savvy Jane, you're next on my screen. If you're there. Yeah, hi.
I am here.
Good.
Hello. I got a panicked text from a friend. It's the life of an artist.
Yeah.
Am I on the right mic? I am on the right mic. Yes.
I guess.
Hi everyone. I haven't been here in a while. I'm very excited to be back. I was busy with things. I wasn't on the list for a while, but now I am. So
Great.
I'm excited to meet everybody.
Cool.
I don't know if I have anything to ask for specifically at the moment. I've been recently pushing myself to do more projects because, of course, I might have a sizzle that I'm doing soon for someone who's a very important pianist, and someone wants me to shadow under them as an editor, which is a very amazing experience.
Great.
And I'm going to work on a music video for my friend using a light bright, so that'll be stop motion. So I guess my general ask is if anyone has any projects that I work a 9 to 5, so I can't necessarily be somewhere on set in the middle of the week. But if you have a Weekend Warriors project, or hey, I would like the idea of someone doing a stop motion title sequence for something I'm doing.
That's fun.
Or I need my acting reel edited because I also do that.
Yes.
I would love to help and just meet people.
Great.
So that is my spiel.
And that's definitely something you can put out on the table email. And again, for those who are new to the table, we also have an email component that's thousands of people. We have offshoots all over the country and members all around the world. So that's definitely something to put out to people. And but that's great. So anything else you need beyond that?
No, just your beautiful faces.
Cool. Well, thank you. Yay. 3 cheers. And again, you know, one thing I love about this pursuit of, you know, the arts is that it allows huge variation in people's enthusiasms. So stop motion is very much you know, there aren't a huge number of people who do it, but certainly Ray Harryhausen was one of the greats, and I actually worked with him. And you know, and then Tim Burton, of course, has done a lot to bring stop motion back in very interesting ways. And there, you know, there's a variety of people who do it and do it very, very, very well. And of course, in earlier decades, there were also people who did it extremely badly. If you ever, there's certain movies that if you want to see really bad stop motion animation, check those out. And I can't remember which one it was, but it was a ripoff of Harryhausen, and I think it had stop motion robots, and they were just pathetic. And so that's, you know, that's pretty interesting. And I'm a huge fan of Gumby also, by the way, because Art Clokey was so weird. I remember the one where Gumby and Pokey go to meet the Kachina gods of the Hopi Indians, and it's like, wow, you know, it's like so strange. But he was terrific. So anyway, I digress. So
got a soft spot for Mad Monster Party from Rankin Bass.
Sure, they were great too. And even Davy and Goliath, it's an extremely odd show. It's religious but very peculiar, and in its own way very kind of you know, anarchic. So you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And you know, but anything else, Jay, sorry.
I was just thinking about Sid and Marty Krofft.
Yeah.
Like, I really love those, the Land of the Lost is what I always think of. Like, I love the really cheesy claymation. More of the stop motion I do, I would kind of class it under more like a Terry Gilliam thing, which is a top-down, cartoony looking effect. Very, like, top down. I'm not exactly an artist when it comes to drawing, but I am looking to collaborate with people who are artists so I can make those things happen. So if you're really good at the drawing and painting and stuff like that, hit me up.
That's
but
great.
Yeah, music videos, the title sequences, anything that I think could have a really interesting story told through basically cutouts.
Cool.
That's what I'm looking forward to do right now.
Wow, that's great. Well, 3 cheers. Yay. Excellent. So, Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes, our next question. Sorry, I had a little frog in my throat.
Oh, look out.
No, look out,
In
frog.
my throat.
Yes.
Okay.
Mark, it's from Kevin Scott 76.
Sure.
And he asks, can you imagine writing for virtual reality? Maybe where the reader is the main character.
Yes, I've been approached to create virtual reality things. The challenge is how to work in a narrative. It's much more akin to like amusement attractions or video games. It's very difficult to work in a narrative because the challenge with VR is that when you're telling a narrative story, you're guiding the audience to what to pay attention to, what visually to look at. And when it's a 360-degree image, directing the attention of the audience is very, very challenging. And so I don't really think they've nailed it yet, as far as I can tell. I think it has great gaming applications. I think it has many applications, but narrative storytelling they've struggled with. And but I'm not averse to that at all. It just makes things harder, and so it has to be, you have to be doing it for a specific reason, because otherwise, it's just much harder in terms of production, and why do that? So, okay, great. So, Elaine, it's your turn. Elaine, wonderful Elaine. Yay, go for it, Elaine.
I'll start with Mr. David Bartlett.
Yes, okay.
Whose
His car blew up.
drivetrain went,
Mm-hmm.
and he got towed to his...
Well, his car's drivetrain. I mean,
Yes.
it wasn't that he stopped moving.
So,
Okay,
he got his car towed to his mechanic, who was not there, and walked home.
Okay.
Of course, in the process of walking home. However, I have to make a request for him. Tomorrow, we're doing a light test on our sets, and it's going to be fairly elaborate. Testing, how we're putting it together, where the lights go, etc.
At our studio in Pico Rivera.
And it would be, if anybody wants to meet us there and put on a spacesuit with a light in it.
Wow.
Male and female. We need a male and a female.
Jesus.
To be willing to come and put on a suit and walk around and get videotape, in front of all kinds of different
crazy
props and
wacky.
And sets.
Jesus.
He would love you to show up.
Okay, that's interesting news,
Put
but
you
okay,
in a
fine.
suit, right?
Swell.
I volunteer, but I don't think I'd fit in any of those suits.
No, but I'll keep an eye out for something that would fit. So, but one of the interesting things is you will be in rare company in terms of the tradition of the spacesuit you wear. One was worn by Benedict Cumberbatch. It's a steampunk spacesuit. One was worn by Gugu Mbatha-Raw in Cloverfield Paradox. So there's a lot of history in those spacesuits. So cool, great. So go ahead.
Okay,
it's your
great.
turn now.
Okay.
Enough of David Bartlett.
Enough of David Bartlett. Poor David,
Yes.
with his car gone. No, just extremely busy right now because the piece I was working on with the Mafia.
Not with the Mafia, about the Mafia.
About the Mafia.
Big difference.
Yes, because my DP,
Cornerstone of his community.
My DP, I learned more and more, knows those guys very well and knew
In
that
Sicily.
life.
He grew up in Sicily. Gesundheit. Yikes.
And so, and he keeps going over notes where I like write it. We're doing a lot of promotional materials because there's a lot of heat now for people who are very excited about the piece. Because he's filming the pilot, which I did a lot of rewriting on.
Yeah.
And so he was, and so I'll do a draft of the summation of the season, and then he'll go over it with notes and say, well, no, they wouldn't do that, and they wouldn't do the other thing.
Right.
And I asked him if he ever heard the phrase mansplaining.
Oh God.
And so I said, well, what you're doing right now is mob-splaining, because I didn't always understand exactly how people thought,
Yes.
from the mob. But it's been interesting. But I've been, just doing some killer.
Well, but also it has a black female investigative journalist as the main character, so that makes it very interesting. And it's set both here and in Sicily. So
Yes.
it's getting a lot of heat. It's already got agents attached and sales agents, and they're talking to a network that probably or has a very, very good shot of buying it. So we shall see what happens. Elaine may,
because it's being shot.
Yeah.
Because it's being shot, because it's a black lead, and because it's not like any of the other mafia pieces.
Right.
It's by someone who
grew up with them. Yeah.
And really understood and understands
Them.
the way they think and the way they see the world.
Yeah,
and,
D's, them, and those. Well, yeah, and it's the Sicilian mafia, not the New Jersey guys.
Mafia. So it made for a
big name there, haven't you?
What, Dave?
Pretty big names in there.
Tom Sizemore, Ed Asner, Brian Doyle Murray, etc.
So I just before this started, I was able to send over another draft of some of the promo material, and but he's worked for a long time on this, and what he really wanted was for people to understand that whole culture. So it's not just about the expose of the mob, but an understanding of how the culture, the mentality, and how people still find their own sense of right and virtue. So. So that's what I've been working on, and I'm really tired.
So is there anything else you need?
No, there's nothing right at the moment.
Okay.
Except for somebody for the lighting test.
Okay. Yay. 3 cheers. So Adam, is there another Mr. Sci-Fi question?
Yes. We have one more question here from Scott Baker.
Hi, Scott.
Very good one. He asks, to what extent might Space Command tip a hat to the value of government-funded research and development?
That's an interesting question. It's not my main focus because I grew up with that whole Heinlein kind of thing of the entrepreneur geniuses, funding space flight and so forth. And so that's why Elon Musk amuses me and interests me. We will have an actress playing Bill Mumy's granddaughter. She'll be a person of color, an actress of color, and she'll be a genius inventor and basically build a prototype faster than light drive, which our guys will utilize. And so there'll be that. In terms of government, I mean, you never know what I'm going to come up with or what we're going to come up with. I mean, who knows? Watch this space, really. But I just put out an update on Space Command that shows where we're headed, and that's pretty cool. And so that sort of answers that question. And now I guess it's me, wonderful me. It's my turn. Another slow week. I finished the first draft of Greenlighting Yourself, so I'm now reading that. I was approached by a press to read a graphic novel about George Clayton Johnson, who was one of the great writers of The Twilight Zone, to see if I would recommend that they buy it and publish it, which I did. George was a friend, a good friend, and an amazing writer, and definitely one of a kind. And beyond that, we're working on the Showrunners Network. So I'm talking to the Serling family and their representative about Rod Serling's After Twilight, which is a project I want to do. And I'm also working on Sweet Haven with Elaine and with Rockne O'Bannon and Space Command. And we're launching a big Kickstarter campaign tomorrow. So hopefully that will bring in gazillion dollars so we can shoot. Our plan is to roll camera in August to shoot the next hour of Space Command. And it's everything's moving. And Mr. Sci-Fi is going great. My YouTube channel. And I've no complaints. I mean, we've got all these spacesuits, which is fun, and life is good. Life is swell. We got our vaccination, so I can go out among people and their dogs, and which I do, and everything's good.
And for those of you who haven't had your second shot,
get it.
Some of us don't have any side effects.
No, she didn't have any side effects of any kind.
Yeah.
So, and I had minor ones, well, there you go. Gloat, why don't you?
Yes.
So, but so that's about it for now. I think we've kind of covered the basics, but thanks everyone for being here.
Great to see you all.
And we'll see you next time. And life is very exciting, and go and do likewise. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Talk soon.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Stay well. Stay safe.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. And bye, Mr. Sci-Fi fans. Talk to you soon.